two of those. In fact, he's not even running the third most popular, which is Mage. Instead, he's running Shaman and Paladin, and what that feels like to me is he's kind of taking an aim towards sort of the Druid and the Rogue decks and the Mage decks that people are going to be playing. But Kolento has kind of gone like one notch ahead of that. He's thrown in Hunter into this mix instead, and I feel like Hunter, especially right now, is going to perform pretty well versus most of the Shaman builds that are out there. But you know, Frezar queuing up Paladin straight away, this may be the road hump that Kolento didn't want to face.
Yeah, Hunter, and not only Hunter, but Face Hunter is a deck that Kolento has been playing a lot lately. In the Heroes of Cards tournament, he actually played it, which resulted in the first ever tie in competitive Hearthstone. What happened was he had an explosive trap on the field, so his opponent, he knew he would be dead the next turn, so he had to go for the tie. He played Dr. Boom, he procced the explosive trap, both players died, and the game was actually forced to be a regame.
So both Boombots went to face. How much damage did the Boombots need to deal?
They needed to do 5, so it was pretty much the average of what Boombots usually do, right?
Yeah, his roll
they
at least.
Usually, yeah, they usually roll
1.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, really exciting.
So Worgen Infiltrator, this is something that you know, I've experimented a little bit with myself. Chalky ran this at the ESL event too, where he got second place with what looks to be almost an exact build so far. I mean, Face Hunter is pretty clean cut. It's usually just a lot of very aggressive 2-ofs that are meant to take control of the board as quickly as possible. This Zombie Chow was a turn late. Also, if he'd had this turn 1, this would have been a much different game.
Now, the real question of this game is, will Kolento ever play a card that's more than 3 mana? As you can see, everything he has so far is 1 mana, 2 mana, and he's capped out at the Wolf Rider, the Arcane Golem, and the Kill Command, which just represents so much damage in hand right now.
Yep.
That's 12 damage in his hand, plus 6 on the field right now.
Yep.
That's not even including the hero powers he can potentially weave in.
Yeah, something we've also seen in this match so far is Kolento actually having to attack a minion, which it's pretty rare that this deck, I think, has to attack a minion aside from a taunt. But something like Knife Juggler poses such a threat to this deck that you have to be able to get past that somehow. And the only thing I'm curious about is if he was going to take out that Divine Shield or not. And it looks like he's not going to. So this is like really, really, really different than the traditional Kolento I've seen in competitive tournaments, and I think that most people have seen, which is a deck that really throws caution to the wind, and it's kind of like a, if you have it, you have it sort of deck, and is really looking to just put maximum pressure on his opponent and go from there.
Yeah, you know what? Kolento plays the game pretty much more than anyone, so he's going to be familiar with all styles, and I think this is one style he's beginning to adapt a bit more, the more aggressive style, and it's his metagame call right now that he thinks this is a really strong decision, and this bring Hunter to the metagame can actually win him a lot of games.
Yeah, I would agree with him right now too. It's just so many people are caught off guard. They're focusing on how the mid-range decks work and how to supplement fighting against early stuff. Frezar has had a fantastic start here. Iron Beak Owl going to make sure that he can keep the pressure going, but I mean, with this Cog Hammer down, he might be able to stabilize this. You know, behind a Sludge Belcher, and just with these 2 minions he has on the board and 2 more charges of this, he's going to fall pretty low. But if he manages to get to the later stages of the game and has some heals, that's typically where they run away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not only the Cog Hammer, not only the Sludge Belcher, but also the Defender of Argus is drawn. So Frezar will just have taunts for days. Taunts for days, indeed.
Yeah, this is looking like a pretty easy turn for Frezar, but something he does want to think about is how much of his life total he wants to invest. If he wants to keep cog hammering stuff, he is going to have to pay 1 or 2 life to do it somehow. So Zombie Chow being used first, not a surprise. I think this Mad Scientist, if he takes it out, is going to be the last minion he takes out, because he wants the least amount of things possible to be happening to his Sludge Belcher. So it's actually going to be the very last one. And part of the reason for that is he wants Kolento to have the highest % chance to draw something like Explosive Trap.
Yeah, how much damage he takes with his face, I think, in a large part, is going to depend on how much healing he plays in his deck. Most players, they do play that 1 lay on hands, but besides that, the healing is just really questionable. You also have the two true silver champions, but whether you play something like Anti-Heal Bots or even Guardian of Kings, just really depends on how well you, or how much you can trade into your opponent's creatures, and how likely it is for you to eventually draw those heals.
Let me ask you a question about Antique Healbot versus Guardian of Kings, because I've seen both of them, and I'm not really sure why players favor one over the other. Do you have much experience playing Paladin, or have you spoken to people about Paladin and find out when they choose one over the other and why?
I think a large part of it is that, you're basically paying more with the Guardian of Kings for a stronger body. So I think it's, if you play the Guardian of Kings, it's more of a nod to decks that are more mid-rangey and control-y. It's really good, for example, against Priest, because they don't really want a Shadow Word Death of 5-6 minion, when they could be Shadow Word Deathing like Tyrion or something like Dr. Boom. Speaking of Dr. Boom, that's also a card that is substituted for Guardian of Kings. If players decide they want to play around BGH targets, but they still want a 7-mana creature, then why not go for Guardian of Kings instead of anti-Keelbot?
Yeah, just try to get a swing out of some card. Kolento here actually, he chose to fetch an Explosive Trap and then just Hero Power. And frankly, I don't think he has much of another decision that he can make. Like, none of his other plays really do very much. They invest a lot of mana to get something done. And his opponent's out of 12 life. He's going to need this kill command to provide some sort of reach. And this Sludge Belcher is, I mean, this is just being an absolute menace at this point. He still has no efficient way to clear it. I mean, he has some time because he's still at 27, but it's just going to be second Mad Scientist and another Hero Power here.
Yeah, this is kind of we see the Sludge Belcher on the field, and people, when they see this, they're like, oh, Sludge Belcher is just so great. But the real hero, I feel, is that Coghammer. The Coghammer prevented the first taunt, so this Sludge Belcher could get its full effect. If Coghammer weren't drawn, then Al would have gone on the Sludge Belcher, and that would have been just pretty insane value there.
Yeah, Coghammer is one of the best disruptive tools that you can possibly have, versus something like Face Hunter. It's like the card is just screaming for value against a deck like this.
I still don't think that Kolento is out of it yet by any means. His opponent is sitting at 10 health with no heals whatsoever, and he has a kill command and just the ability to weave in hero powers every single turn. Not only that, he also has an explosive trap that will almost certainly come into the field.
Yeah, so 7 points of damage available to him. Frezar needs to find a way to either end this game or to draw a heal to extend it, because I mean it's running really close. If Kolento draws a beast, I mean, he basically just has the game all but won at this point.
I think Frezar at this point, he needs to race, but the problem is he doesn't have too much damage on board right now. 8 is okay, but if 8 damage on board right now means he'll probably take between 2 and 3 turns to kill his opponent.
Yep. So just going for 9 points of damage to face here. Oh, he's actually going to choose to take out the Mad Scientist. Leopardhum gets drawn. That's another 2 points of damage.
I'm not really sure about taking out the Mad Scientist there, because you're basically giving up a lot of damage to face. In fact,
Yeah.
all the damage from Sylvanas. What do you think is the reason for that trade?
I'm not really sure. Like, it feels to me like it's fear more than anything else. I would have liked to see him go 6 damage to face. He needs to find a way to race him or to end the game or something.
Okay, so I think Arcane Golem will actually just come down as a removal spell.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a way to push through taunts right now, so I think that's just totally reasonable.
He also doesn't want some way for the Sylvanas to actually steal this Leper Gnome, because that'll just be like a 4-point swing, right?
Yep. I like playing the Abusive Sergeant too. Just get something on the board to threaten your opponent in any way you can.
Yeah, and not only that, your opponent really loves to trade.
Wow,
We've seen that inclination from him before.
I think it's actually just game. Kolento's got 2, 4... Oh, he's only got 7 points of damage right now. So, gosh, I mean, is there a way that he can fight through this? 3, 5... 7? He's just gonna take 2 damage from the explosive. If he attacks his opponent, he's dead.
So he can attack. He doesn't know that, but you have to suspect that there's probably at least one kill command in his hand, or Kolento will draw the kill command eventually.
Let me think.
Alright, so if he attacks with the Sludge Belcher into the Leper Gnome, he'll actually give up his slime as well, but I don't think he has any other recourse, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go for the attack. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Kolento's gonna pick up this first game, a very quick one. It went 8 turns, but the game went pretty quickly. I mean, these turns did not have a ton of difficult decisions to be making. It was really a matter of the deck building and how this Paladin lined up versus this Hunter deck, and just last card kill command.
Yep,
See ya.
there we go.
1-0
And
lead.
you know what? I think this is one of the strengths of the Conquest format. Because Kolento won with the Face Hunter, if it